Okay, jumping right in, continuing with Sefer Tanya. Um, we spoke. We're now on Tuesday. We're catching up. Today is Thursday, the 25th of Nisan, and we're backing up to Tuesday to complete or to fill it in. So we just completed Monday's, the 21st of Nisan. We were speaking about arousing a fear of Hashem by contemplating on Hashem, and that sometimes that contemplation requires hard work, since the body occludes the light of the soul. And when that occurs, the Alter Rebbe advises to think thoughts of tshuva, and also to consider and work hard on thinking about the greatness of Hashem, and also to consider how Hashem scrutinizes you and looks at you and examines you, and looks, sees, listens to see whether you are serving him. And closed yesterday's Tanya by bringing the Pirkei Avos that said that, and the person should consider three things: um, an eye that sees, an ear that hears, and everything is recorded in a book. And that's where we left off. And these are all advices to arouse fear of Hashem and to allow the light of the soul to radiate through the occultation of the body. So the Alter Rebbe continues today on the heels of that Pirkei Avos, and he says, and although Hashem has no bodily likeness, right? Because we say Hashem is an eye that hears, and an eye that sees, an ear that hears, and all your deeds are recorded in a book. But he doesn't have a body. But Gam ki ein lo demus haguf, he doesn't have the likeness of a body. On the contrary, this is the very reason that everything is revealed and known to him infinitely more than, for example, through the physical medium of sight and hearing. Hariadarabba, on the contrary, Hakol galui v'yadua lifanav, everything is revealed and known before him, but Yeser she'es, with more strength, la'ain kates, to no end, miriyas ha'ayin, from the seeing of the eye, ushmiyas ha'oizen, and the hearing of the ear, al derech mashal. It's known before him in an infinitely greater way than a physical eye or ear could provide. So take a look at the note here. When we say that God does not possess any bodily likeness, we mean that he is not bound by the frailties of a body. Physical eye can observe reality, but not spirituality. It can only see when there is adequate light and only up to a given distance, and so on. Physical hearing is likewise limited. God's seeing and hearing, however, possess only the merits of these faculties, but none of their limits and limitations. For it goes without saying that any quality possessed by the created being is surely possessed by the Creator. And as the Alter Rebbe just said, the Creator's hearing and seeing is infinitely more than a physical eye or ear could provide. Continuing, by will of his illustration, God's seeing and hearing, and the fact that everything is revealed to him and known by him, are like a man who knows and feels within himself all that is happening to and being experienced by each of his 248 organs, such as cold and heat. Rak, who al derech mashal, according to a way, we're going to say the same thing in the Alter Rebbe's language, kamo, like Adam, a man, Hayodea, umargish, who knows and feels, ba'atzmo, in himself or for himself, kol mashnase, everything that occurs, benifal, and occurs, be'echad mikol ramach ivarim, he knows and feels everything that occurs in one of the 248 limbs of his body. 248 limbs of his body. Kamo kor v'choim, like hot or cold. You know, your finger is hot, your finger is cold, your arm is cold or hot. You know. Vafilu choim shebe sipornei raglav, and even heat in the toenail by way of example. Al derech mashal im nichva ba'ur, like if it's scorched by fire, as an example, you're gonna know. and also their essence and substance. So you feel what occurs to your organ, and you feel the organ itself. You feel your toenail and your fingers, etc. And all that is affected in or by them, everything that occurs to them, is known to the person and sensed in the brain. Yodea is known to Margish and feel b'moicho in his mind. Right? This is by way of example by a person. Anything that happens to you, feel that occurs to you, you feel it. In a similar manner of knowledge, by way of analogy, God knows all that befalls all created beings, both of higher and lower worlds, because they all receive their flow of life from Him, as it is written, from you all things come. Ukain, uka'ayin, yidiazu, al derek mashal, and similarly, this knowledge, by way of example, Yodea Kodesh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Abishter, the Infinite One, knows Kol Hanifal B'Kol Hanivrahim. He knows what's occurring to any created being, to every created being. El Yonim V'Taktonim, the higher worlds and the lower worlds. The Abishter is aware. The Yod Kulam Mushba'im Memenu Yispark, because they all receive their life from Him. They're all created and enlivened by Him, and thus He knows everything that's going on by them. Kulami mushba'im memenu yisbarach kamosha katuv, like it says, kimi micha hakol, like it says, from everything, that from you is everything. From you, ki bet mimecha, from you hakol is everything. And this is showing me what we say. V'gam kol yitzur lo nichad mimecha. We say, is this a pasuk? In the liturgy from Musaf Rosh Hashanah, what do we say there? We say, no creature is hidden from you. Vigam, and also call all hayatzur, anything formed, lo nichad mimecha, is not hidden. Nichachad mimecha, it's not hidden from you. And as the Maimonides says, has said, and this has been agreed to by the scholars of the Kabbalah, such as Rabbi Moshe Kordadever and Pardes. What does Maimonides say? That by knowing himself, as it were, he knows all created things, whose source of existence is his true existence. Kamoshe Kateva Rambam, like the Rambam says, Kabbalah, and agree with him to this, all the wise men of the Kabbalah, Kamosha Katav, like it's written, Haramak, like the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cardavero writes, but parties and parties. And what does he write? It should be Dies Atzmoi. In by knowing himself, speaking about the Abishter, by him knowing himself, Kiviyachol, so to speak, Yodea calling Ibrahim, how the Abishter knows all the created beings, and him Sa'im, that exist, Ma'amitas, from the truth, Hamatzo v'chuli, the truth of his existence. This analogy of soul and body, however, is only to calm the ear, to make it possible for man's ear and intellect to perceive how one may know about something without having actually to see or hear it. In truth, however, the analogy of soul and body bears no similarity at all to the analog of God in creation. What is the analogy of soul and body that we're talking about? I didn't quite catch. We're making a distinction of soul and body right now. We're talking about the fact that we're making an analogy that a man, just like he knows and feels what's going on with him, so too, the Abishur knows what's going on in the whole world because it's coming from him and he is connection to it. Let's continue in the author of his words. Raksha Mashal said that this mashal that we've been speaking about, Einu Elo L'Shachech Et HaOizim, it's just to calm the ear. But truthfully, in truth, ain't a mashal doimel l'nimshal klal. The mashal that we've been speaking about, knowing something like on your body, is not related to the nimshal, to Hashem's knowing. So why not? That's the mashal we've been using. Why not? Ki nefesh adam, because the human soul, ki nefesh adam, the human being, the human soul, Afilo has he's hasichlis elokis. Even his afilu asichlis vahelokis. Even his rational being and his godly being is affected by the events which transpire with the body and its pain by reason of the rational and divine souls actually being clothed in the vivifying soul in the animal soul, which provides the body with physical life, which in turn is clothed in the body itself. Let's say that in Hebrew, and we're going to explain it. Kinef Adam, because the soul of man, afilu even hasichlis, his rational soul, ve'elukis, and his divine soul. The soul is mitpe'elet, affected b'more haguf v'tzaro, by the events that occur to the body and its pains. Right, his soul's in the spiritual aspect of him is affected by what happens to his body. It's affected. His spiritual element is affected by what happens by his physical element. Machamas because kitlav shuta mamash b'nefesh achiyonit hamalubeshet b'guf mamash. Because hitlav shuta mamash because b'nefesh achiyonit because it is dressed up. The divine soul and rational soul, they are dressed up in the vivifying soul, the vivifying soul, Hamuluveshit Baguf Mamash, which is dressed up in the body literally. So what we're saying is that the spiritual souls are within the more material souls, so to speak, about Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, but Hashem, it's not that way. Eno mitpael chas v'shalom me'orei ha'olam. Hashem is not affected, God forbid, by the events of the world v'shinuyov and its changingness, its changes. V'loma ha'olam atzmo, and it's not, and not from the world itself. The Eibishter is not affected by anything that occurs in the world. None of them affect any change in him. V'shekulam eno po'alim boi shum shinoy chas v'shalom. All of them do not affect in him any change, God forbid. Behold, in order to help us understand this well with our intelligence, the scholars of truth, the Kabbalists, have already treated it at length in their books, and an explanation will be found there. Okay, so there's more to say on it, but we're not going to get into that right now. There, you can go into that further. Behold, in order to understand this fully, in our minds, Kavar Ne'erichui already expounded Hokmei MS, the scholars of truth, Bisfarehim in their books. But all the Jewish people, as descendants of the patriarchs who believe in God, we are believers, descendants of believers, without any speculation of moral intellect whatsoever. And they say, and they declare, we the Jewish people, you are the same before the world was created, you are the same after the world was created. We know that that's the way that it is. The Abishur is not affected by this world. He is the same Abishur without any change. Before he created the world, he's exactly the same Abishur without any change after he created the world. Call Yisrael, but all the Jewish people, Ma'aminim, are believers, B'nei Ma'aminim, the children of believers, Blishum Hakira Seichel Anushi, without any investigation. We know this by simple faith, and we say you are he until the world was created, and etc. And the etc. is, and you are he after the world was created, without any change. Like we said before in chapter 20. This concludes the third day of the week, Tuesday, the 22nd of Nisan. And we'll be moving into Wednesday, the 23rd of Nisan very soon. See you soon.